Hello and good evening and welcome to TGP1 Season 40, Week 3, Rounds 5 and 6 this time. And as you can see in front of me, you've got Jovial Manatee, and it is Monaco that we are racing at tonight. The second race is Spain. Obviously Barcelona, but we're starting out with a difficult one at Monaco now. And I must say, a quick word for the audience. Cam did get glitched out, so he's starting 17th. I am not racing this week because I am commentating for the final week of this season. And Shane, the Confessor, is moving. So it's all up to it's all to play for really at the moment, with Monaco being this first race. So we'll see what New Zealand Cam can do from 17th, but we'll also see what Jovial Manatee can do, who is currently on a flying lap. As you can see, Machine Island, a 10.2 at the moment, is the fastest. I do reckon it'll be a 9.9 for pole position, as that's what Jonas did going into this session in a final switch session. But as we can see, Jovial Manatee is a 10th and a half up on his current lap. Misses the apex there for the hairpin, but you can sort of get away with that. So yeah, a 10th and a half up. That will put him on provisional pole, but is he going to be able to improve through the middle and final sector of this lap? Very easy to make mistakes around Monaco, as I'm sure you are all aware. But here we go then. You want to break about 70 metres, keep it in third if you can, ride all the curb. He does quite nicely there, and that will gain you quite a lot of time. Avoid the wall on the left hand side, because it will, and it doesn't do that. And as I was saying that, avoid the wall, but he didn't do that. And Machine Island then is on another lap. It did say he was just over a 10th and a half up on his current lap. Obviously, whether that is the case or not is another story, as we've only just gone on board with him. So we'll stay with Machine Island, Machine Fishy. He used to be known as on previous F1 games in TGP. So here we go then, 70 metre board, brake, just keep it in third, he keeps it in second. He doesn't actually use that much curb, so he's probably gaining or losing a lot of time there as the cars do get out of the way. Into the back here, keeps a very wide berth for that inside curve, very easy to lose it. It's actually 4 tenths up, so at the moment it's probably going to be a 9.8, 9.7. He does have Jovial Manatee, I think, just ahead of him, but he's not going to get in his way, and no, he gets quite nicely out there as much as he can. And I do reckon this probably will be a 9.7. And what is it going to be? And it's a 9.8 there, so fair play from Machine, and I do reckon that is going to be pole position. But the big key one here, what's Dom doing actually? So Dom's on an in lap. You've got WetLemonz currently just over half a tenth down on his lap. But have we actually got any fast drivers at the moment? What's Dan the Man? Is Dan the Man on a lap? Dan the Man does appear to be on a lap at the minute. Bit of traffic ahead of him, and oh, that is not good there. And who was that? That was JD for Dan the Man there. So that is going to be blocking really. JD down in 15th at the minute, as Dan Morris has retired from that. So New Zealand Cam then down in last place at the moment. So not really what he wanted. It was a game glitch. It said he it didn't say he retired. He sort of had a glitch, left, and then came back, and it retired him. So that is unfortunate for him. A benefit for me, because I'm already 30 points behind him. So that's quite useful, but not really what you want to see on that. But what's Jonas then? Jonas is a 10th and a bit up on his current lap, as WetLemonz actually goes into P5 then, only 9 tenths behind the current pole sitter. But Jonas then, again, he can do a 9.9, so he's going to be pretty close. He should be able to get into P2 at least, but it's going to be the lap of his life if he's going to be able to get a pole position tonight. Coming out of the tunnel then, very easy to ruin your lap here and there, especially in that chicane. I've done it plenty of times on this game and previous games. It looked quite nice then through to back. He is purple. He's nearly 4 tenths up on his lap, but that's only going to put him, a 10.1, so he's still got a bit of room to improve if he wants to be fighting for that pole position. Comes around the final 3 corners and into the final corner then. Very easy to ruin your lap here, turning a bit late, get a bit of understeer, and that's all you can do then. And what is Jonas going to do? It is going to be a 10.1, so that does put him into P2 at the minute. Dan the Man got a bit of traffic ahead of him. The McLaren does get out of the way quite nicely at the moment. A bit of oversteer there on the exit, very easy to do through that slow section. But Dan the Man currently P4. Dan the Man is a Monaco Master will say. Monaco Master is Dan the Man, has plenty of pole position and plenty of wins round here. I do think he's got the most wins round here, annoyingly. But yeah, fair play to him. He's been in TGP1 for a number of years, and he's now a 10th up on his laps. That's going to put him provisionally in at 2P3. Ride the curbs, very aggressive. That's what you need to do around Monaco. Ride the curbs and just hope that it doesn't spit you out. A bit wide there, but you can get away with it. Short shift where you can. And through the final corner, quite ginger there, but it shouldn't cost him too much time if he's been doing that all this session. And what does he do? He doesn't actually improve half a tenth down on his lap, and WetLemonz has unfortunately invalidated his lap. So he'll be going for another lap, obviously, if he hasn't, if this is not an out lap. Coert into P3, actually. So that's fair play from Coert there. Only, 4 tenths off the pole at the minute. So, well, 5 tenths, we'll say. But that's a very good showing here. And Jack Hicky is out. So I'm not too sure when that happened. I didn't see that. So I do apologise if that happened quite a while ago. But yeah, I did not see that. And at the minute, as we see Dom getting very close to that wall there. But yeah, we're going to see in the last 5 or so minutes as Mr. Chiapelli has retired from P16, and that is him crashing at the top of the hill. I think Casino is that it, I think it is. Yeah, you can see on the map. So yeah, Dom Smith currently P9. I don't think he'll be too disappointed with that, to be honest, because he has been quite struggling quite a lot around here in the small amount of practice. He's got a car ahead of him. Hopefully that car does get out of the way. He goes straight on. May have distracted him slightly, but you won't get anything for blocking there because he was well off the line and out of the way there. So that's fine. A bit of a yellow flag, but that is just the car behind him that he's just overtaken, and Dom is 3 and a bit tenths down, so not really what he wants. But yeah, we're going to quickly run down the championship order at the moment. So you've got New Zealand Cam on 85 points, Dan the Man P2 on 58 points, myself the soft cop on 52 points in third, Shane, obviously the confessor, missing tonight unfortunately because he was moving, in fourth on 45 points, Joviality fifth on 43 points, well, yeah, quite decent there. Obviously Jean in P6 on 31 points, Alastair Bain 27, Phil Bargell 24, also missing. So both Williams of Jack Pearson and Phil missing tonight. But yeah, Phil 24 points, Machine Island on 21 points, and then at the top 10 rounding out is Jack Hickman in P10 on 18 points at the moment. So that is the current Drivers' Championship as we see it, but obviously New Zealand Cam starting from 18th, while Dan the Man is starting currently P5. It's going to be a tough one for New Zealand Cam. Unfortunate for him, benefit for everyone else. It just means that someone else can probably go for pole and a potential win. But don't discount him. It may be Monaco. It may be hard to overtake here. But as we've seen so far this season, New Zealand Cam has the pace on the rest of this field. I think this current grid for the tonight, I'd probably say Machine Island is probably his closest competitor in terms of outright pace. But I could be wrong. I hope I'm wrong. It is always good to have close racing and a tight fight for the race wins, of course. But yeah, so we're on board or off board with ERT Jordan at the moment, currently on his lap. Everyone else is in the pits, bar a few on out laps. But once we've finished with ERT Jordan, the next car I think will be Machine Island, who will end up starting his lap. So we'll go on board with him to see if he can improve, which I'm sure he can. Obviously, in what does ERT Jordan currently on a 11.7. He does not improve, so he'll be going for a second lap there. No, he's flashing, so in lap for him. And Machine Island then are currently a 109.870 on the soft tyre. And an interesting point I have not made in this race, it's going to be interesting to see tyre strategies. I reckon a lot of people, or most people, will start on the medium tyres just to ensure that they keep their position off the line. But it's going to be interesting. Monaco's never been that great with tyre wear, and a few drivers in sweat sessions in the past day were struggling with tyre overheating, so it's going to be interesting. But we're going to go with Machine Island, then I'll take you through a lap. So into turn one, and we've got a car, obviously not really what you want. Brake just under the board, use all the curb on the inside, short shift if you need to, and that was quite nice there. You did get distracted by the Aston Martin. Brake as you go over the zebra crossing. Takes quite early apex there, hits the wall just, I think, but I think he might just get away with that, and he's 2 tenths down, so he's actually lost quite a bit of time there, but it's very easy to gain the time back here. It misses the apex there, so it's not quite the lap he wants at the moment, and yeah, I think he's probably backed off, and yeah, he has his yeah, he's definitely backed off there. But who else is there? So Dan the Man just started his lap, quite nice through turn 1, then up the hill. Again, you'll see the zebra crossing across. You want to brake now and turn in. You want to try and take a later apex if you can, but it's not too bad. Short shift on the exit here just to dull any wheel spin. Brake into this corner, keep it tight as you like. Short shift if you need to, and you want to ride as much curb as possible on this inside. Just try and rotate the car. Some people do drift it. I don't know how the esports guys do that, but it is what it is. And then sort of try and keep it neat and tidy through these corners, just to take that momentum. And through the tunnel, then the legendary tunnel, what is he going to do? Again, brake about 70-meter board. You want to ride all of the entry curb and the exit curb, and that's exactly what he does. So quite nice. So he's got a car ahead of him that gets straight out of the way, so that's perfectly fine. Enter back, then use all of the road. Be very careful, as Alastair does, and that's he's 3/10 up. Then use all the curb on this left-hand side, which he does again. And he's probably going to get about 4/10 in there if he nails that. Misses the apex slightly, but it's very easy to do. Short shift where you can. Take an early apex through this last corner than you think, and then you've done all the work you can. What is he going to do? It's a 10.3 at the moment. Keeps to the right-hand side, and he goes a 10.0. So very good from Dan the Man. That's all he needs to do. Keep the leader in sight, and hopefully it will pay off come the end. As John is hitting the wall there. And who else is on a lap? Coert is actually just starting his lap. As we see, Dom Smith is on. Well, he invalidated, so he's just going for another lap there. And who is this? Lewis Craig. And obviously, I didn't actually realise Lewis Craig was racing tonight, so fair play to Lewis Craig. Obviously, TGP2. Obviously, he is a title contender, of course, in TGP2, so it's going to be interesting to see how he does. P10 at the moment, that's not too bad, as WetLemonz does improve into P5, as Machine Island is now in the pits. And what is Jonas doing? So Jonas 10.0 at the moment, and we're just going to stay with him just briefly just to see. He's actually 10.5 up on his time, so that's very good. He's going to be well into the 1 minute 9.9s, but is he going to be able to get pole? It's not that far away from him. You know, this is going to be another pole position. I think Italy in season 38. 37, I believe. And what is it going to do? Is it going to be pole position? Not quite. Half a tenth for Jonas. I bet he'll be kicking himself there, obviously, with that. Dan the Man is in. What is Jovial Humanity going to do? I don't think it's going to be quite enough, and it's not. It was a very slow lap from him. What is Coert doing? So Coert is on a lap half a tenth up, according to the timer in the top right. That's not going to improve in any positions, but he may just get WetLemonz depending on how well his final few corners are. And what is it going to be in his Alpine and across the line? And he does not, well, he improves, but not enough on that. Dom Smith is in, and that pretty much, guys, is your qualifying done and dusted. So it was an interesting qualifying session. Machine Island then is on pole position on a 1.9.8. You know what? I don't think John will be too disheartened with that in a way. I think he'll be annoyed that he's so close to pole, but I think, you know, knowing who he's beat, Dan the Man, who is a specialist around Monaco, I don't think he'll be too bothered in that respect. So all the drivers then at the minute will probably be just getting a bit of water down them, ready for the race, going to the toilet if they need it, you know, just before the countdown starts for this race. It is a 25%, both races tonight, short qualifying, 25% racers. No safety car, of course, because again it's so broken, bar obviously the 35%. And there we go, the Machine Island, another pole position for him, a 9.8. Jonas in second, half a tenth down. Dan the Man, I think, will be quite disappointed with that. In third place, again, a Monaco specialist. Jovial Humanity P4, he does get good starts, so it's going to be interesting to see if he can jump up ahead of Dan into turn 1. WetLemonz, a fantastic lap from WetLemonz. P5, fighting it with the big guns, so very well done for him there. Coert P6. Jack Hicky, he did say he was going to struggle around here because he just never gels with Monaco. P7, 8 tenths off. Dan Morris, obviously, is a reserve, P8. Dom Smith to P9. Lewis Craig P10. Alastair and Aidan, obviously the brothers there, in P11 and 12. JDP 13, but he's potentially getting a penalty of some sort for blocking. We'll see how that one turns out. But a disappointing driver that I just noticed was Matt Tibos. It does look like he was struggling quite a lot there. I think he was, 14th in the end. But here we go then. Getting ready for this 20-lap race. Monaco, it's a 25% race, but it goes on for absolutely ever. 20 long, enduring laps of the streets of Monaco. It's not really what you want, to be honest. I hate Monaco. Just driving it is horrendous, but Yeah, thankfully, I'm sort of missing it, but not thankfully, I'm also missing it because I always seem to do well around here. So, but yeah, it is what it is. But we'll see what the race has to offer. It is a dry race, as you can see. No chance of rain. You know, it's hard to see from because you've got just the buildings, but I don't think there's any chance of rain. It's quite sunny by the looks of it, but not in the pit lane. But yeah, we're just waiting for the players at the moment. Hopefully. We should be able to get going soonish, and yeah, get this race underway. And here we go then, 2 lights, 3 lights, 4 lights, 5 lights at Monaco, and the lights are out. And what does Machine Island do? He does get a good start. That is him in pole position, but we've got Dan the Man up the inside of Jovial Manatee, but Jovial Manatee has gone round the outside of Dan the Man, so that is 1 place lost for Dan the Man. Not what he wanted. Off the line as JD up to 10th place then, but Machine Island does have a 4/10 gap at the moment. Very clean at the front, and it does look like everyone has made it through. And oh, Machine Island, and he's lost his wing. He's actually lost his wing there, so that is not what he wants, and that is allowing Jonas to fight and have an attack. Is he going to go up the inside, Jonas? No, he's not. There is a yellow flag in the background, and it does look like JD has unfortunately had an accident as we see a car going into the wall there, which is not what you want. But yes, Machine Island has got damaged. Jonas will want to be getting straight past them as soon as he can because he wants to build that gap. The quicker he can get through Machine, the better it's going to be, and it's going to make Jovial Manatee's life a lot harder. But Jonas currently on 80% ERS, and oh, that's more wing gone for Machine Island. He got pole, but he's clearly not getting the win, and it does look like he's actually lost all of his wing, and he has, and that has allowed the top 3 guys to go through. So it goes from good to bad for Machine Island. He's going to be dropping down now. He's going to be pitting, and to be honest, hard tyres are not going to get you to the end of this race, but you know, he's going to have to pit, and yes, he does. And actually, let's have a look at what the tyres are on. And actually, Jovial Manatee and John's have gone on the soft, so Dan the Man is actually sitting pretty here at the moment on those medium tyres, as John does set the fast lap, and Machine Island was actually on the hard tyres. I didn't even catch that, so that is not what he wanted. However, looking at the minute, and New Zealand Cam has got damage on the wing, so that's not what he wanted. I know he was going to be struggling at Monaco, according to what he said, because he was going to be needing a miracle. However, that is not what he wanted, so it goes from bad to worse for him, and obviously going on to the medium tyres from those softs. So it's going to be very, very interesting to see what he can do come the end of the race, and also what Machine Island can do. But at the front then, it is very close at the front. It's very hard to sort of pull away from Monaco if you're not making any mistakes or the cars behind. But Jovial Manatee fighting for another win. Obviously, Jovial Manatee does struggle when it comes to worn tyres, and that is a horrendous camera angle there. So it's going to be interesting to see what Jovial Manatee can do. You know, he does tend to drop off come, you know, the ends of stints with his tyre wear, so he just needs to keep it neat and tidy, really. Don't make any mistakes, don't make any silly moves, and yeah, again, Monaco is very difficult to overtake, so you know, as long as you keep it neat and tidy, use your ERS where you need to, then it's not too bad if you're leading. So can Jonas get a win in T1? I don't remember the last time he actually won a race. I think it was, you know, I don't want to say if it's wrong, but I think it may have been the PS3 days. I know he's got 1 or 2 poles since I've been in TGP, you know, from F1 2015, but I don't actually think he's had a win since on the current sort of last 2 sort of gen consoles, really. So, but yeah, the gap at the minute is quite good, and actually you've got Coert closing up on these 3 cars as well. So it's going to be interesting to see for the Alpines, Dan the Man and Coert, to see who pits first and who pits second. You don't want to be stacking around here or anywhere, to be honest. But yeah, we've got a bit of a field spread right behind these guys. You've got Jack Hicky, a lowly 5th place at the moment, but I don't think he'll mind too much. Dan Morris in P6, Dom Smith in P7, so he's doing quite well. Moved up a few places, got Aidan Griffins right behind them. EOT Jordan in P9, of course. But yeah, New Zealand Cam currently 3.4 seconds off the next car. And he's on those medium tyres, of course, so it's interesting he's gone the mediums rather than the hard tyres, obviously with that, but Jovial Manatee has actually dropped back a bit further from Jonas at the minute, 1.1 seconds, so he's now out of DRS. So that is going to allow Dan the Man to probably have a bit more of an attack, a bit more of an easy time of closing that gap. But again, Monaco, it's not that easy to overtake, of course, even with the help of ERS and DRS. But and we've actually got Matt Tibos losing a place, so he must have had a poor run out of the final corner. But it looks like WetLemonz is potentially thinking of an attack On Machine Islands, we've got a yellow flag, and that is JD, unfortunately, having a bit more of a nightmare at Monaco. So I'm sure he's probably going to pit in and maybe even retire the car, and yes, he does. JD, unfortunately, is a previous champion, a one-time champion on F1 2016, I believe it was, but he's not had his way since then. So that is very, very unfortunate at the moment. But yeah, John is 1.2 seconds ahead of Jovial Manatee at the minute, as we see Dan the Man getting very squirrely over those curbs, and he's now right behind. Oh, Dan the Man, Dan Morris even gets a penalty there. However, Dan the Man is making an early stop on the medium, so he'll be going on hard tyres, I'm sure. It'll be very silly if he goes on the softs, and he's actually going on the softs by the look of it, so that's a very interesting strategy call again, as Matt Tibos has retired, and that is out of the chicane, as we can see on the right hand side there. So I'm not sure how he's managed to do that, to be honest, but yeah, Dan the Man then out in P11, and he's gone on the soft tyres. He's going to have to do what, 15 laps on the soft tyres. Machine Island is back into the pit, so he'll probably go in on the mediums, and it doesn't look like he's got wing damage. Yes, he does. He's actually changing his wings, so it looks like he's got yet more wing damage. That's unfortunate, as New Zealand Cam moves up to P14 on those medium tyres. But yeah, Dan Morris does have a penalty, and now the gap at the front is up to 1.5 seconds. Coert is closing in on Jovial Manatee, 4 tenths, should I say, and Jovial Manatee getting a bit squirrely and all over the curbs through that chicane. You want to ride the curbs, but you want to ride them well, and that's exactly not what he did. So yes, so Jovial Manatee appearing to struggle quite a bit at this phase in the race, but at the moment there's not really any closer battles, and we see Jovial Manatee is now in the pits. That's going to allow Coert to probably chase after Johners, and let's have a look at Urs. So Johners is on 71, Coert's on 52, so he is using a bit more Urs, but not quite. And where's Jovial Manatee going to come out? Actually, we're going to go with Dan the Man. Dan the Man coming round the second to last corner. Is he going to jump Jovial Manatee, of course? Is he going to be able to get ahead and stay ahead? It's going to be very interesting. Jovial Manatee coming out there, and there we can see him. It's going to be close, but Dan the Man has got ahead of Jovial Manatee, and it's quite surprising really with that Jovial Manatee has gone on the hard, which is fine, but Dan the Man wanting that short-term gain for probably long-term pain, probably thinking he can hold people off behind him, as it is Monaco while you're on Warner tyres, which people have done that. Of course, Nigel Mansell and Ayrton Senna were doing that in Monaco in the early 90s, I believe it was. But is Johners going to pit this lap, and he's actually pulled a gap on Coert, so Coert's dropping back slightly. It was 4 tenths, I believe, at one point. But yeah, Coert then within 9 tenths again, so within a second. But is Johners going to pit this lap? He's probably going to have to if he wants to sort of keep track position. And no, he doesn't. He stays out. So he's probably thinking the other cars are going to get attacked and sort of held up. But at the minute, it looks like the only person getting attacked is Johners by Coert. So could Coert potentially be a race winner around here? It'll be very interesting to see, but let's have a look down the field. Dan the Man only 7 tenths behind now Alastair or Maya Quimby. Maya Quimby not he didn't really fancy his chance to do well at all, but this is perfect for Johners. You're getting held up by a slower car, and Dan thinking about using a bit of hers there, and this is going to help Johners massively. But Jovial Manatee 2.5 seconds behind Dan the Man, so he's going to want to heat those tyres up and get closing at the minute. And Owen getting quite leery there, but this is helping Johners massively, and this is the downside with pitting early. This is why you realistically want to avoid starting on the soft tyres potential. I know obviously Dan the Man didn't, but this is why you don't want to make an early pit stop round here, because you're going to get stuck behind cars that are going long, and then you can't, no matter how quick you are, there's only so much you can do. There is only so much you can do, and at the minute it's not the right choice. So Dan the Man, his race is getting ruined right now, but it's going to be interesting. Is Johners going to be in? And yes, he is. Johners is in. Court continues, and so does Jack Hicky. Where is Johners going to come out? I reckon it probably is going to be ahead of Dan and Jovial Manatee. I don't think it'll be by much at all. However, this getting held up is massively affecting him. And where are they? So they're coming out of the pits now, Johners. So this is going to be easy for him. So where is it? Oh no, he's actually done it. Dan the Man has actually done it. So fair play. However, Dan the Man's now going to be on warm tyres. Jovial Manatee is right closed up and he's going around the outside. So this is going to be interesting. Gives him room, keeps it room. But what is Jovial Manatee going to do? Jovial Manatee following him through. So that's perfect for Jovial Manatee. And a bit of contact there for Owen. But yeah, and is he going to get out of the way of Johners? Johners has lost out in that, but he's going to be fresher tyres. And Johners actually gone on the medium tyres now. So Johners needs to clear Owen Quimby very, very fast. Otherwise, it may be a lot harder for him. But I thought Jonas was going to do it, but clearly Jonas' old soft tyres were just had lack of grip. So yeah, it's not quite worked out there. But again, Dan the Man is on those soft tyres, so realistically you'd think as long as Jovial Manatee can keep that gap small, he'll probably be able to get him at the end of the race on better worn tyres. But John is still right behind Mayor Quimby at the moment, not quite being able to do anything. And what we're going to do is we're actually going to get rid of that bottom bit because it's no use to anyone at the minute, and it's clogging up half of the action. So, and Mayor Quimby does go a bit wide there, but John wasn't able to make that move in this. I think this is probably the closest battle on the circuit at the moment. But is he going to be using his ERS? He probably is. He's got DRS open. Is he going to be going up the inside? He's thinking about it. Is he going to be close enough? He thinks it, and he goes up the inside. That is going to be a corner cut though. But Mayor Quimby is still there. There's a bit of contact there. That may be a bit of damaged wing. I don't really know whose fault that was. I think it was clean racing, but yeah, it's very easy to have that happen. But that is allowed Johners to now hopefully pull back that gap. Again, an interesting strategy choice. You've got Dan the Man on soft tyres, you've got Joey Manatee on hard tyres, and you've got Johners on medium tyres. There's not really much between the medium and hard in the sense of grip or pace. I think the hards, you may have slightly more come the end of the race, but it's really not that much as we see the two Alfa Romeos going at it with Lewis Craig being ahead of WetLemonz. I'm not sure what happened to WetLemonz because he was actually doing quite well in qualifying, and then now he's sadly last. But New Zealand Cam up to 13th. He's actually run it a bit wide there. That doesn't look like damage. Hopefully not for him. A bit of understeer there, so that's not what he wanted. Thinking about trying to get past Mr. Chiapelli. We see Aidan getting overtaken. That is because he is in the pit, as we see Dom Smith now into P2 as Coert is in the pit. So where's Coert going to come out? So Court's going to come out just behind these guys. So that's going to be very interesting to see. And he actually crossed the pit exit lines there. So someone reports that could be a slam dunk penalty for Court. Is Aidan Griffin's coming out of the pits. He's got nice clear air. But yeah, at the minute there's a bit of a lull in proceedings. No one's really close enough to have an attack, and well, it is Monaco. However, this battle here for Dom Smith, ERT Jordan, Alastair, they're going to get under pressure in a moment from Dan, Jovial Manatee and John as realistically the net leaders, and it's going to be interesting to see how well Dan the Man gets through this pack. They're going to be hoping, and I reckon so, that this front gaggle will probably pit this or next lap, and I'm sure Dan's thinking, where are the blue flags? But it's fighting for position at the end of the day, so it's going to be interesting, but we'll see. We will see. But Jovial Manatee is keeping Dan the Man honest, but yeah, Johners has closed that gap also. And are we getting anyone jumping into the pits this lap? We've got all three of them, it looks like. So that is perfect for Dan the Man, allowing that a nice clean track now. So again, he could just do about his business, don't have to worry about the cars ahead because now they're on. So that is good for him, as Alastair Bain obviously loses position. Mayor Quimby up to P6. He has yet to pit, I think, Mayor Quimby, so he'll be dropping down quite far come the end of this race, I'm sure. But yeah, not bad at the moment. 7/10 gap between the top two and actually the top four. It is very close. It is very close between all of these guys, so you know, it's very easy, actually. You'd think it's not that easy, but it's very easy to get penalties around Monaco, more so at the chicanes and things like that. But at the minute, it looks like they're all keeping it nice and clean. So that is all right, obviously, with that. And also, I do believe Cam's issues were not just in qualifying. I think it has locked his setup to probably the default one. So unfortunately for him, it does look like any sort of decent result for points is going down the drain. Very unfortunate for him, really. Again, you don't really want to be using default setup around here because you sort of the setups are so slow. But Jack Hicky is now in the pit. So Machine Island has got a penalty for warnings there. So I was saying people are keeping it clean, but unfortunately not there. But Jovial Manatee then is getting a bit of pressure from Johners. This is pretty much the closest battle really on the circuit, but again, as I've said multiple times, it's Monaco. And Johners looks like he tapped the wall there, and here we go. Then caught up the inside, near enough does it, but a bit of wheel banging from them there. Are they going to make it tidy? You know what? Fair play, Coert, and fair play to both of them, because they made it. There was a bit of wheel banging, but nothing too bad. And to be honest, wheel banging at Monaco, it's in a real way you're going to get past people. So that has not been good news for Johners, who has now dropped down to 4th place. He was looking good in the early stages, but tyre strategies, performance, all this comes into it in a 25% or any sort of race distance. It's good being fast on one lap, but you've got to have a bit of luck as well. And Coert really looks to be attacking at the moment. I want to actually check what the ERS is at the moment. So Dan the Man's got 100%. So Dan the Man is sitting pretty right there. Jovial Manatee runs it a bit wide, and his Coert going up the inside. He's thinking about it, and they've spawned, and I don't know what Coert was doing this. That's not good for him. But yeah, it looks like Jovial Manatee got wide. Coert went up the inside, but 2 into 1 into that final corner, that is never going to work out, and that has possibly caused Jovial Manatee to have wing damage. I know one of them does, and yes, on the right hand, that was Johners actually. Has Johners got wing damage, I think? On that right hand end plate? It has. Johners has got damage there, so that's not worked out for Johners. I don't know where he did get that damage, but Jovial Manatee now up the inside of Johners it's really P3 really, but yeah, so very interesting. Cam gets a penalty there, of course, and Aidan Griffin's losing a few places. So Aidan Griffin has made a mistake at the top of the hill. But yeah, so Coert now up to P2, but I probably would be thinking that Jovial Manatee maybe reporting that come at the end of the race, unfortunately. So yeah, it looked like 2 into 1 didn't go. Unfortunately, Jovial Manatee came off worse for that. But then somewhere, I think potentially in that melee as well, Johners has wing damage. So that's pretty much let Dan the Man off the hook. 9/10 gap to his teammate. Of course, we'll see what happens in the steward's room afterwards if anything does happen or if anything does get reported. But at the minute, it actually looks like Coert is potentially putting a bit of pressure on Dan the Man. Don't want to make any mistakes, of course. And yeah, obviously now the gap's 4 seconds. And we've got Jack Hicky going up the inside of Jovial Manatee as Machine Island gets another penalty there, unfortunate. So Jack Hicky may be in the fight for he's in the fight for a podium, clearly, with the issues ahead. But it may end up working out as potentially a P2, depending on what happens. So, very good. And he's on those hard tyres, so he's going to have the grip in the last 6 or so laps. Again, it should be quite easy for him to get past Johners with that damaged wing. Although, saying that, I did defend against Jack Hicky round here a few seasons ago with also a missing end plate, and I managed to hold him off. So, it's not out of the realms of possibility that he will be able to keep that position. He just needs to ensure that he's going through certain corners neat and tidy. And we've actually got Coert then 1/10 behind Dan the Man at the moment. 1/10, and Dan the Man getting very close to the wall there. Used a lot of the curb and it really spat him out. You need to be careful of that. But is Dan the Man going to let Coert through? Is he going to think, there's going to be potentially a penalty at the end of the race or whatever like that? It doesn't look like it. So Coert is actually in the fight for the race win at the moment. And I'm pretty sure Jovial Manatee will be furious. And he's actually thinking about going around that side. Is he going to? I think he's going to probably do it there. Stupid camera angle. And he does. So Coert is into the net race lead at the moment. And I think Dan the Man probably playing it quite smart there. He probably knows what happened. Obviously, these guys do sit in a party together. So I'm sure Dan the Man does know what Coert potentially did. So playing it smart, no point you fighting and getting damage yourself or getting into an incident like the cars behind. Just even if you settle for second, bearing in mind Dan is second in the standings at the moment in TGP1, whereas his championship rival at the moment is in P12, so only getting a few points. Obviously TGP1 does go down, I think, to 14th place for points. We sort of use the MotoGP system for points really, or a similar way. So it'll be very interesting to see, but it'll be interesting to see if Jack Hicky can close the gap. 3.2 seconds to Dan the Man. And Dan the Man is closed down at 2 seconds. And he actually did. So Dan does have damage. That right-hand end plate, as you can see, as we're looking at it, the left. So that is probably why Coert has absolutely pulled that gap. So Jack Hicky realistically, you'd assume on those hard tyres, should be able to close that gap quite quickly. And he's on those hard. WetLemonz on old softs, so he's got wing damage and he's on old softs, and they are probably screaming right now. But yeah, it's going to be interesting. I think New Zealand Cam will be wanting Jack Hicky, I'm sure, to get ahead of Dan just to ease that gap, as Dan Morris has unfortunately crashed out at the seafront chicane out of the tunnel. So that's unfortunate for him. And the gap now, look, 1 second. In that first sector, you lose so much time with the damaged wing because it's such a fast section, and even the final sector as well there. So Jack Hicky is about to demote Dan the Man by the looks of it, but John is 3.5 seconds back. So I probably think it's going to be Coert for the win provisionally. Dan the Man probably P3 and Jack Hicky P2, and Coert getting very screwed there. So he needs to keep it clean. And to be honest, Coert probably will want to pull as big of a gap as possible just in case whatever the penalty is, because we've got a yellow flag at the hairpin. So I think it's just a probably slow car. Obviously, with that, as we see, obviously Jack or Lewis Craig, should I say, wrong brother there, moving up. 6.6 seconds now, Coert in the lead, and Jovial Manatee and John is then going side by side. Again, I assume Jovial Manatee probably has got some form of damage from that contact, because you'd be thinking that he has overtaken him, and Jack Hicky has now passed him. But we're going to go back with Johners and Jovial Manatee. Johners up the inside, obviously, through the final few corners, and is ahead. But yeah, Johners is actually doing quite good defensive moves here. Yeah, I reckon Jovial Manatee probably does have damage of some sort, because it should realistically be a much easier move than what it has been so far. Although Jovial Manatee 14% ERS, Jonas 22, Dan the Man 92%, Jack Hicky 49, and Coert 29 on an 8.5 second lead there, as Machine Island is in the pits again for the 10,000th time this race. So yeah, he got pole, but sadly he's not getting many points, that is for sure, as it stands at the moment. He's not doing very well, as we see all the cars coming through cleanly. And Jovial Manatee then 4 tenths behind Johners, and now Johners only 8 tenths behind Dan the Man. So at this moment in time, those soft tyre gamble has not paid off. Yeah, it didn't work out. A genius, as the OT John has retired from 8th place, unfortunately, and that was just after the chicane. So he's probably hit the barrier that sticks out slightly if you're not careful. Unfortunate for him, but you win some, you lose some, and that's allowed New Zealand Cam up to P10. So he's gaining some points back, but at the front it's neck and neck for the final podium place. As we see, and Jovial Manatee up the inside then of Johners. Nice and easy. There's a lot cleaner than it was, but Johners is sticking it around the outside. At the minute, it's a cork in the bottle. As Johners thinking about going up the inside, that is going to be a corner cut penalty, and it is. So that's ruined Johners' chance of a podium. At the moment, it wasn't really a move that was on. You got wing damage, It's very difficult, but what is Jovial Manatee going to do? Jovial Manatee realistically now wants to get ahead of John, but he's not had much luck so far. But realistically, he probably wants Johners to get ahead of Dan the Man very, very soon, so he can attack Dan the Man. But, champions, all of these drivers champions. You've got Jack Hicky and P2 a champion. Coert sadly not a T1 champion as yet. Jack Hicky a 2-time champion. Dan the Man I think a 4-time champion. John is a 2-time champion, and Jovial Manatee a 1-time champion. So this is the fight of the Titans, the fight of the champions in T1 at this moment in time. But is Jovial Manatee gets a very poor X. I was going to say, is he going to do well? No, he's not. And I think coming on to the penultimate lap, I think it's a bit of a stalemate at the minute. It's very difficult. These two cars ahead, the Alpine and obviously the Alfa. And actually saying that, Jovial Manatee around the outside. He thought about it. He was very close to actually doing that there. But yeah, the two cars ahead of Jovial Manatee do have wing damage. And to be fair, if I was Jovial Manatee at this corner, I'd probably just dive up the inside, to be honest, because it's not really they can turn in, because they're just going to understeer anyway. And Jovial Manatee going around the outside of Johners at the hairpin. We've got a lapped car here of Lewis Craig by the looks of it, trying to unlap himself. But I don't think these guys will be too happy about that, because it's very distracting, obviously with that, but you sort of can't blame him for trying to unlap himself. If he's on fresh tyres or whatever, then it sort of is what it is. You can't expect just to sit behind, but he's clearing these cars pretty quickly, so it shouldn't cause too much issues. There's Dan the Man hit the wall again, so that's going to be even more damage, and that should allow him on the very last lap for these two cars behind Giovinazzi and Jonas to potentially have an attack, but it is going on to the last lap. Jonas thinking about going up the inside, not quite, but yeah, and he's run wide there, Dan the Man, so that's going to allow Jonas, potentially he's going to go around the outside, he's thinking about it. I'd just dive up the inside, to be honest, because you've got nothing to lose. It is the final lap, and Jonas thinks more sensibly about it, and he's actually ran wide, and that's going to allow Giovinazzi up the inside. No, it's not, because he hit his rear. Yeah, I'm actually losing my voice now again. It's always hard commentating on your own. And Jonas thinking about around the outside. He's thinking about it. He's going around the outside, but not quite. They keep trying this. And what's going to happen here? Jonas is going to dive up on the inside. No, he's not. He's thinking better of it. And this is a last-ditch effort, really, with this. But yeah, I'm going to stay with this battle a bit longer. There's a helicopter outside, so I do apologise if you can hear that. As Coert is nearly at the finish line, but I want to try and stay with this battle as long as possible, and then we'll catch Coert crossing the line in just a moment. And it doesn't look like Giovinazzi is close enough. It looks like none of them are close enough. So we're going to go with Coert. So Coert Gill, currently the provisional winner of TG1 at Monaco. Well done, Coert. Fair play drive. Jack Hicky is going to finish P2, but what is the battle for the final position? It is still very close. Is Jonas going to go up the inside? There's not really many positions left, and Giovinazzi is up the inside, so fair play from Giovinazzi. What is Giovinazzi going to do? Is he going to go to the side? And he's up the inside. Oh, that is close. That was aggressive. That is allowed Jonas up the inside. So Dan the Man in the second part of the lap has lost out, and that has allowed Giovinazzi somehow to get a podium, but Jonas does get demoted to P5 after that corner cut penalty. He'll be unhappy with that. Dom Smith P6, so a very, very good points haul for Tom Smith there. Mr. Chiapelli P7, Aidan Griffins coming home in P, obviously 8, Alastair Bain P9, as New Zealand Cam did get penalties, so he drops down to P10. Not a bad recovery drive given the circumstances. Machine Island, a very disappointing race for him there after doing so well in qualifying. WetLemonz rounds out the top 12 with no wing. Mayor Quimby coming home very slowly. He's probably run out of fuel, knowing him by the looks of it. Yes, he has. He's full throttle and he's got no drive. And yeah, that is going to be your Monaco Grand Prix when Mayor Quimby gets across the line. And there we go. And yeah, that is your Monaco Grand Prix done. And you know what? It was very exciting. I actually really enjoyed that. Apart from my voice going. But yeah, it was very interesting. It was very enjoyable. I did like that. There was a very good battle for the race win that ended up somehow turning out for P3. But again, I must point out, and I don't want to point out too much, but I'm going to anyway. Coert did win, as we can see, the race, but whether or not Giovinazzi does go to the stewards with that, because that could be a P2 for Giovinazzi. It'll be interesting to see if Giovinazzi does decide to take that to the stewards, because I didn't really see it on the camera angle. It did just look like 2 into 1 didn't go. I don't know if the car ahead obviously turned in to Giovinazzi or what, so I don't really want to speculate. But yeah, if it turns out to be a penalty for Coert, he probably will drop down off the podium more likely, and that means that if that is the case, Jack Hicky will somehow win the Monaco Grand Prix, but we'll see what happens there. So at the minute, Coert does win the race. Jack Hicky is P2. Giovinazzi somehow gets a podium position there. Dan the Man in P4, I think he'd be quite disappointed with that. Mistakes on his end actually cost him quite dearly. John is in P5, I think he'd be very disappointed with that, with a 3-second penalty. Dom Smith, very good from him there. Kept it clean. Did what he did. Everyone else bottled it. Mr. Chiapelli P7, so again, a good drive from him there. Aidan Griffins P8. Alastair Bain, the brothers there, P8 and P9. New Zealand Cam, a decent recovery drive to say that it was default setup, and he qualified last because, obviously, the game. Machine Island, very disappointing from him. WetLemonz, Mayor Quimby, Lewis Craig, Ioti Jordan, Dan Morris, Matt Tibos, JD, rounding out the grid and the field there. So, yeah, takeaways from that race. It's very close, you know. There's certain drivers here, obviously Roy, obviously Giovinazzi, Jonas, Dan. They are on each other's pace, and I think probably the majority of races they are as well. They're always pretty close there. Coert is a bit away off that sometimes, but yeah, fair play to him. He did well regardless of what happens. But then you've got good drivers in this field. A few disappointments, and I don't like being negative about drivers. Obviously, you've got, unfortunately, New Zealand Cam, no fault of his own, at all. I think if he'd have been in qualifying, he probably, I'd assume, would have got pole and won the race quite comfortably. So unfortunate for him there. Machine Island, he was fighting for Coert for a TGP1 title a number of seasons ago. If it wasn't for Phil crashing out and then wiping out Machine Island by accident, but it's the luck of the draw sometimes. He's shown he's had pace previous in TGP1. He's clearly shown that he's got qualifying pace, but Monaco, you can't rest on your laurels around there. It's very easy to make mistakes, as I found out many a case and many a season, with a number of wins potentially being dashed because of mistakes and things like that. Another disappointing race for Matt Tibos. Used to be fighting me for titles, wins. He a multiple champion as well, Matt Tibos is, and it's gutting to see him struggling, and he's struggled for the past 2 or 3 games as well. I think 2021, 2022, and then this game, he's not gelled with it, and it's sad to see. I'm sure he'll be up there eventually at some point, and that's just the way these games go. Sometimes they suit you, sometimes they don't, and if they don't suit you, you will drop off pace. I mean, look, we've seen Dan the Man, Johners, fighting for at the front constantly in the PS3 days of TGP1, and yeah, they're still fighting there or thereabouts, but faster people come in, you enjoy the game more, you play the game less, things like that. There's so many factors on it, but yeah, so I'm hoping Matt Tibos sooner rather than later will get back to winning ways and being back at the front. We've seen glimpses of it in qualifying, but it just seems like the races never quite work out sort of where he needs them to be, which is unfortunate. And Dan Morris, he is a reserve, of course, at the moment. I think in his first race in Canada last season, he got pole. So Dan Morris similarly has shown that he's also got good pace. So yeah, but enough of that. It's you race with what you've got. If you do well, you do well. If you don't, you don't. You can just go as quick as you can. But on to the second race then of this evening, Spain. Now, in the very short amount of laps I've done at Spain on this game, it's very hard to pull away. You actually want to be running more downforce than you think you do, because of the way the corners are, long corners. However, you want to run little downforce for that long main straight. So it'll be interesting to see what levels of downforce people go for. Again, higher downforce, it's easier to do the lap times, but in race trim, it's always going to be slower. And also, we haven't said it's going to be wet or dry, so it may be either or. If it's wet, it's probably going to be chaos. So yeah, we will see. We'll see what's going on this with this one. So yeah, waiting for it to load up. And is it a dry or a wet quali? I'm sort of hoping it's wet. Get all the wet races out while I'm not here. And it is a dry qualifying then at this moment. So what we're going to do is get not the telemetry, we don't really need that in qualifying. We'll get the bar in the top right. But yeah, it's dry in qualifying. I don't know what it is going to be in the race. I'm going to assume dry as well. But yeah, I'll see all the cars now just getting ready to go out, getting their setups on, and hopefully this time New Zealand Cam doesn't disconnect, and hopefully New Zealand Cam can use his setups this time. So it's not going to be as easy for the cars who were at the front in Monaco to do well here, as we see a Ferrari already coming out, and that is New Zealand Cam. And what we're going to do, we're going to stay with New Zealand Cam. We've got a few cars ahead of him that are going out, both of the Aston Martins, but I do really want to see what Cam can do. I'm going to say pole position around here will either be a super low 11 or likely a high 10. So yeah, we're going to see it's very hard to actually gain time around here because the corners are so long. There's not really, now that they've got rid of that chicane and the hairpin, there's not really any technical corners where you can gain time. So it is more down to just setup around here than the sort of skill. I don't really want to say skill, but you still got to be fast, regardless of what circuit or what the conditions are. But yeah, so we'll see what New Zealand Cam can do. We're going to stay with him for the first lap, just see what he's able to do. Realistically, he is the title favourite. He's now got his points gap hasn't, well, it's definitely come down. Oh, and he's actually the Aston Martin ahead of him. I think he got a bit caught out of it. He was just sitting in the middle of the circuit there, but warming his tyres anyway, so it's not going to really bother him too much, I'm sure. But yeah, so Dan the Man finishing, what, P4? Possibly P3. And New Zealand Cam finishing P10. It's allowed the gap to come down quite significantly, I'm sure. But probably not quite enough for it to make much of a difference for Cam at least. But here we go then into turn one. We've got a car on the inside. You want to brake about 70 metre board, use all the curb on the inside. You actually quite missed it. Use it all on the left hand side and a bit on the right hand side. We've actually got a car spinning ahead of him. That's probably JD because he's always spinning. Keep it to the right hand side. Be careful of the marbles though, because it will mess up your turn 4. You want to turn in a bit early. He actually runs it a bit wide there, but you can get away with it around Spain because the corners do tend to open up. Brake about 50 metre board, keep it to the inside, use the curb to rotate the car, and use all the curb on the exit as well. But be careful not to get an invalidation. You want to brake quite late here, but very careful on the exit because the rear does get unsettled. And then here we go, Campsa, pretty much full throttle on this game. Nice and easy. It doesn't even use all of the road because he doesn't need to. And you want to brake into this new long left-hander about 70 metres again, as Lewis Craig does a 12.4. Use all the road on the exit, use a bit of the green if you need to. Keep it on the left hand side to widen out this long right hander. Very easy to lose traction, and here we go, that's pretty much the lap done. It's now 2 long right handers, full throttle for this one, downshift once and get straight back on the throttle here. And what is Cam going to do? Is it going to be an 11? It's going to be an 11.2, so that is a good first lap for him. But I do reckon 1 or 2 more attempts quite comfortably and he can go faster. Machine Island does an 11.9, so quite a ways off at the moment. John has a 12.4. Mr. Chiapelli a 12.8, and Alastair Bain a 12.2. But who else is currently on a lap that will be at the front? What is Dan the Man on at the moment? We're going to see uses more of the track than New Zealand Cam, but again, you can do it either or. There's not really a one-line fits all around there, and it doesn't actually say what the times are for Dan the Man, so I'm not even too sure. It's actually Matt Tibbles has gone up to P2 on 11.8 there, so yeah, we was talking about him a moment ago not performing, but he's currently performing at this early stage of qualifying. As we see a yellow flag, that's just cars getting out of the way. And what is Dan going to do? He actually stays in 7th gear, downshift, and he does an 11.8, so now here goes P3. What is Jack Hicky doing? He's just started his lap. So who else? So Aidan Griffins has bailed out of his lap as we've got a Ferrari behind, but I think that is just a car coming in. And well, I don't know what happened there. It looked like he was sort of going out again. So yeah, so Jack Hicky then coming through Campsa. We'll stay with him, see if it shows his sector times in terms of the gap. I'll actually go off board, and yeah, it's not showing the gaps, of course, because he's not set a lap yet. And I don't know why I've not got this on, because it actually is good, useful to see if there's on an lap, and he's not on a lap, so I'm watching an out lap for no reason. And Dom Smith is currently P15. So yeah, I think that is pretty much it for the moment in terms of fast laps. All these guys that have actually set laps will be probably coming into the pits at the moment. You can't really do 2 laps around here because of the ERS usage. And there's actually a nasty bump on the entry to the pit. So if anyone's watching this in T1 at the moment, keep to the right-hand side of pit entry and you will avoid that nasty bump because it will send you back onto the circuit, and in the race, that's not really what you want. So it could cause a huge crash. So at the moment then, so Joe Manatee coming into the pits. Coert, what is Coert doing? Obviously on an in-lap by the looks of it, yeah. Pretty much everyone is coming into the pits. I'm actually going to go with JD as he goes completely off the circuit. He's probably thinking that it's the 2006 layout. Yeah, so he's getting out of the way of everyone, but everyone's on an in-lap or a cool-down lap, so... Yes, unless JD's also on an in-lap, you never know these days. He hasn't set a lap yet, so I'd assume he's on a flying lap. Yep, and he's starting one now, so we will go with JD. in the Alpha RC Tower. He did spin at turn 3 that last lap when we was on board with Cam, we saw. And obviously into turn 1, use all of the road on the right-hand side, as you can see. As long as you keep 2 wheels on the black stuff or on the white line, it is perfectly legal. And he goes through turn 3 again. You pick up a lot of marble through turn 3 no matter what line you take. And then into turn 4, nice sweeping right-hander. You want to try and take an early apex and just use all the... It's actually spun. There we go then. So you don't want to be taking that wide of a line, JD, otherwise that is what happens. So yes, at the moment it's a bit of a lull in proceedings. John is then, obviously, I think he'd probably try to go for another lap, but he'll be on another lap with 24% ERS. So yeah, there's a bit of a lull at the moment. New Zealand Cam's actually just started a lap, so we're going to go with New Zealand Cam. A bit better through turn 1, used quite a lot of curb there, probably lost him a bit of time, probably a bit too much, obviously with that. Through turn 3, keeps the right hand side. Turn 4 incoming is actually nearly 2 temps down, so yeah, that line he took through turn 1 and 2 did cost him, and now he's spun because he's got on the white line and took out the braking board. Luckily, Jack Pearson's not here to take all the braking boards out, so Jack, if you are watching this, please stay away because I like using braking boards. And also I don't use racing lines, so I need to. So yeah, New Zealand Cam's lap there is done and dusted. But who else is on a lap? So it looks like Machine Island is on a lap, so we'll stay with him. He's purple in the first sector, according to the map in the bottom right. We've got a car, his teammate, on the left-hand side. So yeah, we'll see what Machine Island can do. He's currently, 7 tenths off at the moment, so I'm sure he can probably improve quite a lot. A lot of these drivers go straight onto the soft tyres. They don't mess about with the mediums, which, you know what, fair enough, it is actually half a second up, so this should be currently fighting for pole position, if not currently. So he's purple in 1 and 2 for the sectors, but he's got a car ahead of him. That's perfectly fine. He's not going to obviously ruin his lap or anything like that. He might actually get a bit of a slipstream off him into the final corner. He stays in 7th gear rather than downshift, so that's fine. He doesn't use all the circuit there. And is it going to be fastest? Just by about half a tenth. And what is Matt Tibos doing? Matt Tibos is, I think, just starting his lap. Yes, he is. A lot of these guys are on out laps. Dan Morris has just started his lap. Aidan Griffins is run wide, so he's not on a lap either. We're going to go with Mayor Quimby. Obviously, he's the furthest around, and it does look like he is on a lap. So we'll see what Mayor Quimby does. Again, hasn't had the game that long. I think he's only had it less than a week at the moment. I think probably just a few days by the sounds of it. So, you know, he's doing well to say he's new to this game, and it's P13 provisionally. Obviously, Dom Smith currently in the pits coming in. Jack Hicky just starting his lap. Then you've got the Alpine, so Dan the Man has just started his lap. So we'll stay with Dan the Man then. See the big guns do their thing. It's always good to see how different drivers do differently on their laps. Yellow flag, that's just a car going slowly. See, that's what you want to do at turn 1 and turn 2, unlike Cam. You want to use all the curb but not too much. Don't want to hit your plank on there as you've got a car ahead of him. That won't do too much. Brake up at 50 metre board and turn in. Be very careful not to understeer. It's very easy, but you want to, as long as you get the nose in, you shouldn't understeer too much with that, as the Aston Martin does get out of the way and into this very annoying quick chicane. Avoid the sausage curb on the right hand. You can use that sausage curb, the yellow sausage curb, to sort of rest any slides, but it's very easy just to unsettle the car even further. So you always need to be careful of that. And what is he at the moment? He's a 10th up, is Dan the Man. So that's probably going to put him, that's going to put him P3 provisionally. But how is he going to do in this final sector? It's very easy just to get a bit of oversteer here and then just lose it all. But he seemed to do that perfectly fine. Is he going to stay in 7th gear? Yes, he does. Uses a lot more the road this time. And what does he do? He does an 11th 8, so he does go into P3. But I don't think it's nowhere near the current pole time. So at the minute, it's just Machine Island and Cam in a league of their own at the moment, so that's always good. And what we're going to do, we're going to go back with New Zealand Cam as he is just starting a lap, so that's perfectly fine. So into turn 1 then, brake about 70 metre board, use all of the curb on all of the parts of the circuit through there, just to take that momentum. The car looks very dirty from the spins that he's had. And then we're going to see turn 4 then, take a nice line through there. He's nearly a tenth up on his lap currently. He does that corner far better than he did on his last lap. Again, 70-metre board, use all the curb on the inside, use all the curb on the exit just to allow you to get on the power sooner. And then here we go, here's the annoying little chicane. Very easy to turn in a bit too early and hit the sausage curves on the inside, but that looked perfectly fine. Kamsar turn as soon as the curb on the left-hand side ends. He used a bit more of the circuit that time, but again, you don't need to use too much. And what is he at the moment is a tenth and a half up on his lap. He runs it quite wide there, but you can get away with that. It allows you to get on the power through the third to last corner, a long right hander, very easy to get oversteer. Don't go a bit too wide. He's fine there through the penultimate corner and then into the final corner. Is he going to stay in sixth? Yes, he does. And I'll probably say this is going to be 2/10, so it's probably going to be 10-9, and it's an 11-1. So that's perfectly fine there from New Zealand Cam. However, 6 minutes to go, still plenty of time for Machine Island, who is currently in the pits, to set a lap time. And Joe Manti is not on lap, he's not using his ERS. Johners is on an in lap. The majority of guys are in the pits, and it looks like ERT Jordan has just completed his lap. So we've got yet another lull in qualifying. Nothing really to talk about, to be honest. It's very hard commentating as a single person, to be honest, but I do enjoy it. I don't mind it too much, but I would much prefer to be in the racing seat right now, that is for sure. So yes, we will see what happens next week. And next week, I will point out why there is this quiet period. Canada is a 35% one-shot qualifying. And the other race is, what is the other race? Austria, which is short qualifying and a 25. So the first race will be Austria, short quali, 25% race. And the second race will be one-shot quali at Canada, 35% race with the safety car on. Again, 35% race in TGP1 this season. We're trialling it out, seeing how it is, to see if we want to move over to it in future. Personally, I prefer short qualifying over anything else, but, you know, it's a new challenge. But yeah, all 35% race in TGP1 this season will be one shot with safety car on. So yeah, we will see. And Jonas then has decided to go for another lap, so we'll go on board with him how he does it. Use all the curb there, that's what you want to do. Use all the curb on the left hand side, use a bit of the green on the right hand side as well, and then keep tight on the apex of this corner all of the way around from turn 3. It actually takes quite a wide line on the exit there. Brake about 50-metre boards and turn in at the same time. Keep it nice and tight, get on the power nice and early, short shift if you need to, get very close to the grass there. 50-metre board, this left hander, keep it tight, use the curb to rotate you, and he doesn't really use too much of the curb on the outside. There's no real braking points here, so you can't actually choose where you want to brake it, so you're guessing. Uses a bit of the sausage curb on the right hand side, and he currently misses the apex by a country mile there. But you don't lose too much time because you're pretty much full throttle anyway. Into this new long left-hander, he's only 6,000th down on his current time, so if he managed to get a good final sector, he'll probably move up ahead of Jovial Manatee, but we will see. And he does that quite nicely, yeah. Uses a bit of the curb on the right and the left. Keeps it in 7th. It's interesting to see a lot of these guys keeping it in 7th. I'd personally downshift just to get the higher revs, and he does improve to P3, so that is fantastic for him. Mr. Chiapelli is, I think, currently on a lap. Yes, he is. He is the only other car, I think, other than JD, who's on a lap. But we're going to go with Mr. Chiapelli, of course. He's now 4 tenths up on his lap, which should put him, I mean, it'll only put him, well, I don't know, he might do. He might go up to P13, depending on how well his final sector is, as he's sort of on the cusp of getting a 12.3 with that, as we see someone spun into the pits, and I'm sure they probably hit that big bump, and he only improves to P15 there, but I don't think he'll probably be expecting too much, and JD did come into the pits, so that's fine. So at the minute then, everyone is on outlaps, bar Dom Smith as he goes down into turn 1 in his bright orange papaya McLaren, with obviously the chrome on the engine cover. Sadly, it's not the colour chrome, but the browser chrome. It's a shame they don't let you choose the liveries, for the special liveries online. I know they do it in the special events for your custom car, but we don't use custom cars, and I think the custom cars look horrendous. So if you're using custom cars for league racing, please stop. it does not look nice. More so because the liveries are horrendous. So yeah, nice a nice little lap from Dom Smith here. Nothing to write home about, but it's nice, it's tidy, it's clean. And yeah, as I said earlier on, this circuit, it's very hard to gain time on your competitors purely because you can't really do much, as John has called it quits. He has retired in the pits, of course. That's fine, as we are coming to the last minute and a half of qualifying, as we see the Mercedes getting out of the way there. And what is Dom Smith going to do? He was, 2 tenths up just a few seconds ago, and he does improve by half a second, but he stays P17, so that's unfortunate. As we see, News and Cam has actually gone off the road, so not what he wants. That's his lap done and dusted. But what is Machine Island going to do? He looks like he's got a lot of marbles there, so he's probably going to be losing a bit of time, but he only needs to gain half a tenth pretty much, just over half a tenth, and that'll be Machine Island's second pole of the night. But is he going to be able to do it? The circuit does rubber up quite nicely come the final few seconds, and is he up on his time? He's not. He's 2 tenths down, so unless he can pull magic out of this final sector, and yeah, he's lost it, has lost a lot of time there, as we see a car on the outside, and yeah, that's him done. So that's not what he wants. That is going to be realistically Cam on pole, because no one else is anywhere near the pace of the front two, but it should be interesting in the race. Again, hard to pull away with the simplest of circuits, really, as Jovial Manatee then starting his final lap, and we'll stay with Jovial Manatee as Dan the Man is currently in P5. So yeah, it's interesting, it really is. But Jovial Manatee through turn 3, no issues. Into turn 4 is just over half a tenth down, but again, you can gain that back on yourself if you made mistakes or missed apexes, and yeah, we'll see what he can do. But who else is sort of coming to the end of their lap at the moment? So Jack Hicky is. He's not invalidated, so that's good. He is using his ERS, so he's still on this lap. Currently P9, so not really where he wants to be. Again, a former champion, as we see the Alpine there going backwards, and he goes up to P5, so that is fantastic for him. And then Dan the Man, currently in P8. What does Dan the Man do? He does not improve, so a disappointment there. And who else is out and about? Lewis Craig in the pits. Mayor Quimby is backed off. Obviously, New Zealand Cam is backed off as well by the looks of that. And then Alastair Bain also backed off. So really, at the minute, it is just Matt Tibos. However, it looks like he's not using any of his either, so he's also backed off. And that pretty much then, what's JD doing? Is JD on a lap? JD is on a lap, but he invalidated. And unfortunately, that's no time for JD, so he's at the back. So we're now just waiting for the final few guys to retire. And New Zealand Cam, just please cross the line. We cannot be bothered waiting for you to cross it there, but that's fine. Alastair Bain is in the pit, so hopefully he will retire in a moment, and hopefully Matt Tibos will cross the line as well. So yeah, we're just going to be waiting, obviously, for Alastair Bain to retire, which I'm sure he will do in just a moment. But that is your qualifying for the second race at Spain done and dusted. So just waiting for Alastair Bain to retire. There we go. He finally does. So that's all right. And then we'll just go through the grid. So New Zealand Cam gets a pole, so it's one apiece tonight for New Zealand Cam and Machine Island, Machine Fishy. So it's a 111.1 for New Zealand Cam, 111.2 for Machine Island. John I think will be quite happy with P3. He's beating the people that he knows he's in a fight with. Joe Manatee P4, Jack Hicky P5, Alastair Bain a very good qualifying P6. Matt Tibos, an improvement on Monaco in P7. I know Matt Tibos hates Monaco, and I think a lot of us do. Dan the Man, very disappointing in P8. I'm sure he'll be very annoyed with himself. WetLemonz, not quite as good as Monaco, but P9 nevertheless. Aidan Griffin's P10, Dan Morris P11. Coert, very disappointing in a P12. Lewis Craig kicking it with the big boys in P13, ERT Jordan 14, Mayor Quimby 15, Mr. Shibeli 16, Dom and JD rounding out the starting grid. We know it was dry in qualifying as we just had it. We don't know if it's going to be dry in the race, and yes, we do now know. Because it's dry in the race, of course it is. Of course, it's going to be raining in every possible race going forward, I'm sure. But it's another dry race. It makes it a lot easier for these guys. Not that I think it would be much different with the downforce levels you've got to run around here. But yeah, it's going to be interesting to see if anyone can pull away. Obviously, there was a 4/10 gap between the top two and John is in third. But again, with the downforce, with it's not really being a too technical of a circuit, not really too many places you can lose or gain time barring any mistakes. It'll be interesting to see sort of if the pack stays relatively close sort of throughout the race. Hopefully turn one is clean. It's very easy to get run out of road, have an incident, but if there is an incident, it just spreads the pack out. But is Machine Island going to get a good start? He actually did get a decent start in the first race, and he actually does. He's alongside New Zealand Cam, so New Zealand Cam getting yet again another poor start off the line, and Jovial Manatee getting a good start. He's going to be up the inside, so it's 3 abreast and so on. Jovial Manatee does lead. He actually gets a bit of contact. New Zealand Cam ran out of road there. I don't think that was really Machine Island's fault with that, but John is up to P3, and New Zealand Cam is thinking about going around that side. John is up the inside of all 3 of them, and Jovial Manatee is dropped back, but it looks like Cam's off, and Cam's off! Cam is off! So that is not what he wants. He's not having a good run of races tonight. But that has allowed Machine Island, obviously, they're 3 abreast, and that does not work. So Matt Tibos up to P4. Jovial Manatee, where is Jovial Manatee? He is P3. I was wondering where he was there. But New Zealand Cam down to P16. That is not what he wants at all. Yet another recovery drive from him. He can do it. It's only lap 1, so I'm sure it is possible. As we see Aidan Griffins overtaking and then getting overtaken himself. Dan the man up to P6 after having an okay start. Aidan Griffins a bit of a lag there, but I just don't think that's an issue really. A little bit of lag is fine. As we see New Zealand Cam overtaking Alastair Bain, as Alastair Bain breaks the boards there, but they're not really needed, so that's fine. Dan Morris right behind then, obviously Mr. Chiapelli, Alastair Bain up the inside, and New Zealand Cam, should I say, as well. You've got Lewis Craig. What is it going to be into turn 1? Yep, New Zealand Cam takes that place, and then we've got a Red Bull there thinking about it and actually makes a bit of a move there, so that's fine. It's all going off. I can't keep up with what's going on. But yeah, we're actually going to go back with, as we see a spinner there, we're going to go back with Jovial Manatee because it's quite close at the front with these guys. And I think it was Lewis Craig that has sadly spun on the map. Yes, it is. So that is unfortunate for him. New Zealand Cam now up to P9, so it's a fast recovery drive, it seems, for him. And he's just got ahead of Mayor Quimby, which I don't think that was going to be too long in the making. So, to say he went off, he's making quite a bit of inroads into a recovery, and he's on those medium tyres. And actually, let's have a look at the tyres then, shall we? So you've got everybody, or the main guys, on mediums. You've got Aidan Griffins on the soft tyres. You've got Mr. Chiapelli on the softs. You've got Coert on the hards. You see Alastair Bain overtaking around the outside. Obviously, of Dan Morris, or should I say Dan Morris overtaking. Alastair Bain there as Machine Island has got a 1.5 second. As Mayor Quimby, what happened to Owen there? What happened to Owen Quimby there? Did he get on the curb on the exit and actually just die? Because that's what it looked like. So, yeah, that didn't last long. And here we go then. That's going to be a move into turn 1, is it? No, he's going to think about around the outside. No, that's okay. But Alastair Bain round the outside of Coert up the inside now. I'm losing track of what I'm talking about. There's so much going on. It's so hard to keep track of when there's multiple cars. But at the front then, Machine Island does have a 1.6 second gap, so he'll be shooting off into the distance because while it is easy to keep with cars, that's if you've got DRS, it's very hard to pull away. If you haven't, it's very easy to pull away as Mr. Chiapelli, and New Zealand Cam spun again. So I don't know what happened there, but he was making good inroads, and now he's making bad inroads because he's going backwards again. So we'll start again, and he will go again to gain some points. So this is actually working out very well for Dan the man, very well for me, and also very well for the Confederates. Court has been overtaken by Alastair Bain, and Ioti Jun, I think, was thinking about it as well. But yeah, it's very close, not over a second, other than 2 seconds at the front, really. And oh, that was very close from Court there, as Owen Quimby has left. Of course, no point staying if you're out. But I think that's probably what Maya Quimby did. He probably got a bit on the curb on the outside as we see Dom Smith overtaking Coert now, of course, and he actually runs a bit wide there. You may as well just cut the corner rather than coming on dangerously, but no, that's fine, no issues there. And Matt Tibos actually, in all of this, is currently P3, so Matt Tibos does like surprising us when we least expect it. I was talking how sort of poor he's been the past few games, and is in P3. Hopefully he does not make any mistakes, of course. But yeah, this is actually quite a good little battle for second. You've got P2 pretty much all the way down, I say, to P8. Yeah, P8. So P2 to P8 or in a choo-choo train. No, it's not Thomas the Tank Engine, of course, but there's no blue cars in this other than Dan the Man, really. So if Dan wants to be called Thomas the Tank Engine, he can do, as JD has overtaken Dom Smith with the aid of DRS, I'm sure. But let's go back to Matt Tibos. DRS is, of course, enabled this and the last lap, so it's going to be nice to see if he can make a move, and it looks like he can't because he's too far back, and neither can Jovial Manatee behind, but he is closing up, of course. It is interesting to see if he's using any ERS. Let's have a look, shall we, what the ERS are. So Matt Tibos on 40%, John's on 40%, Jovial Manatee on 67%, so he's saving his ERS. And again, ERS does not replenish around here because there's no heavy braking zones. You want to save your ERS for, well, you don't want to use your ERS at all, really. You really don't, because you will, you never get any back. If you're going to 10%, kiss any good result goodbye, really. So yeah. This is a nice little Thomas train. Obviously, John's at the lead of that, as JD and Dom Smith are actually having a bit of a ding dong, and Coert is still sitting very close behind, but not quite able to do anything. Obviously, with that, and yeah, there's trains, but there's no overtakes at the moment. So yeah, but we'll see, as we see New Zealand Cam in 15th at the moment, so it doesn't appear to have any damage, so at least that's one positive. But is Matt Tibos able to do anything about Jonas this lap? He seems to be a bit closer. He might be able to make a move into turn one. He's not using his ERS. Jonas has been using his ERS a bit more, and here we go. He's actually using a bit more ERS now. Oh, it's no DRS, I'm talking rubbish, never mind. Yeah, 2/10, so not quite close enough. And again, this is what I mean. It's, once you're in that DRS train, it's so hard to pull a gap. It really is. But lucky for Machine Island ahead, 3.3 second gap now. Very easy. He can just save his ERS and just run his own race, realistically. He's not going to be challenged now on barring any mistakes or penalties. So yeah, that's... I hate to say it, but Machine Island, well done on that win, barring any mistakes. So John is making a bit of a mistake there, as I say that, runs a bit wide, but it doesn't really cost him too much. Obviously 2 DRS zones, this little mini straight before the old hairpin, and the main straight. Is he going to go up the inside? Not really. It's a shame they've got rid of the hairpin, because I didn't like the hairpin, but this long left-hander, you can't, you're not making an overtake in there unless you've got the run with DRS, and by then it's over. But he looks like he is attacking now, and Jonas is in the pits. He keeps the right hand side, so he does not get that bump. So Jonas is making an early stop on lap 7. He probably will go for well, he's going to go for a new set of tyres, obviously. He was on the medium, so I assume he's going to probably go on the hards. You'd think so, and that's actually quite a nice camera angle. So I like helicopter shots normally. So John is down to P15, still in the pits, but at least he's got a nice clear air. But it's going to be interesting to see what these guys do. Matt Tibos, Jovial Manatee, Jack Hicky, Aidan, Dan, and Mr. Schiappelli. Well, not so much Mr. Schiappelli at the minute, but 2nd to 6th. If they pit this lap, or if they pit in a few laps' time. But let's have a look, actually, what tyres does Jean go on. He has gone on the hard tyres, so is Lewis Craig right behind him. It makes more sense. Again, you can go on the softs, but with the fast long corners, chances are you are going to overheat your tyres and wear them out, more so here than Monaco. So you may as well go on those hard tyres, as Mr. Chiappelli, unfortunately, as you can see, has picked up a 3-second penalty. It's quite easy to do that around here, ironically, as New Zealand Cam has overtaken JD for P13. So again, it's not all over for New Zealand Cam. I'm sure he can probably get a top 7, top 8 if he doesn't make any mistakes. As we see the other guys now in the pits, Jovial Manatee, Jack Hickey and Aidan Griffins Dan and Matt Tibos do stay out, so that's going to be interesting to see what they do. And where is Jonas at the moment? Jonas is coming round the penultimate corner, so we're going to see if he gets ahead. The undercut is very powerful on this game, so you probably will gain time by undercutting, barring any mistakes, and it looks like he is going to come out ahead of them. Not by far, but, well, actually, no. Joey Manti has actually done the undercut there, or the overcut, should I say. So he is going to be on worn tyres. Is John's going to go around the outside? No, he's not. But that is perfectly fine there. So it's going to take about a lap or two for the hard tyres to sort of being operating temperature 95 degrees as Mr. Chiapelli and Alastair Bain are going at it. Alastair Bain up to P4 provisionally. However, Giovinazzi and Jonas. So Giovinazzi, still defending from Jonas. Jonas does have those warm tyres up the inside, and he performs a switch back there, does Jonas. So that's Jonas up into obviously P10 currently, provisionally. Obviously, it's not really where he is when all the drivers make their pit stops, but yeah, obviously the benefit that Jonas has, he's got those warm tyres. The disadvantage he has is he's on 1 lap older tyres than the cars behind him. So it'll be interesting. Machine Island and Dan the Man are now in the pits. So is Mr. Chipley and ERT Jordan. So they should be back to where they were. But yeah, at the minute, it looks like Joey Mantis is actually dropping back from Jonas, but he's going to get that DRS, and Jack Hicky is right behind there. And actually, in practice, Giovinazzi was struggling out that final corner. He just had no purchase at all. But this is going to allow Jack Hickey all the way. So that's a double overtake on the main straight alone. So fair play to obviously Jack Hickey there, playing his cards nice, not doing anything stupid. That is a rubbish camera angle. But what is Jonas going to do? Is Jonas thinking about making the move? He's probably just darting and diving, trying to make a distract Jack Hickey and get him offline. But that does not work. So yes, but it's still pretty close. Dan the Man and Aidan Griffin's pretty close to these guys again still. So Aidan Griffin's is probably going to be closing in now with that DRS as well as the slipstream, as there's a yellow flag. And I think there's been an incident with JD and Lewis Craig at turn 2, so that is unfortunate for them. But Matt Tibos has got a 7.5 second lead. He's going around another lap. I reckon Alastair Bain will probably pit this lap, obviously with those tyres. Yes, he does stay to the right. Okay, it didn't do too bad there. As soon as Cam's got a penalty, so that's unfortunate for him. Obviously, with that, where is New Zealand Cam? And actually, we're going to stay with it's P13 still, isn't he? So unfortunate, but we're going to stay with this battle. And yeah, Jack Hickey is absolutely gone. He's gone with his. We've got the drivers in the pits. We actually see Dan the Man making a move on Giovinazzi for P6 currently, and that's up the inside, nice and easy. Moves back onto the racing line, and Giovinazzi has nothing to answer for that. It runs a bit wide, but it's done and dusted. So Giovinazzi struggling a bit at the moment on these hard tyres. Again, as I said, Giovinazzi does tend to, as the tyres wear, does start struggling. But Monaco, we didn't really see it, but I think that's because it was so close and so tight between a number of drivers and holding each other up and stuff like that. However, Dan the Man has decided to go to the soft tyres again. So it's an interesting tyre strategy from Dan the Man, as JD has unfortunately retired in the pits. So again, another DNF there for him. But let's have a look at what the tyres are then, shall we? So Jack Hickey's gone on the softs, Dan the Man's gone on the soft, Alastair Bain, New Zealand Cam has gone on the softs, and Dom Smith has gone on the soft. So again, you can probably get away with it. I would rather go on the hard tyres though, just so you know you've got that tyre life, that extra grip at the end of the race when the softs will be running out. Again, I've not actually done a 25% race around this circuit. I think bar the ranked on lines at the start of the game when I was trying to go for my platinum. So I don't really know, but here we go then. Dan the Man up the inside of Johners, nice and easy DRS. Very, very easy through there, but you'd sort of expect Dan the Man to pull a bit of a gap on those soft tyres. At least I'd say for the next 2 or 3 laps, then it will start evening it out with the tyre performance, as we actually see Jonas is derating already. So let's have a look, shall we, at Softies Urs time. So Matt Tibos on 11%, Dan Morris on 11%, Machine is on 71%, but he's not been battling anyone, so he is the net race leader anyway. Jack Hickey, 43%, 50. And the Cam's retired. Cam has retired. What happened there? And I think it came together with, by the looks of it, with ERT Jordan. So that is not what he needed.